Hey guys, so this is an example of our close reading protocol, and we're going to run through our CFA number 1.
Hey guys, Mr. Kosker here. Alright, first thing we need you to have out on your table right now are this CFA, which is the CFA number 1 with the hot dogs and the soda, as well as the close reading protocol that you've been given. So pull both of those out and have those with you as you're watching this video, and you can follow along with us. First step in the close reading protocol is to read the entire problem once.
You are running a concession stand at a basketball game to raise funds for prom. You are selling hot dogs and sodas. You sell each hot dog for $1.50 and each soda for 50 cents. At the end of the night, you brought in a total of $78.50. You sold a total number of 87 hot dogs and sodas combined. You must report the number of hot dogs sold and the number of sodas sold to the school. Each hot dog cost the concession stand 50 cents and each soda cost 10 cents. How much did it cost for these hot dogs and sodas? How much profit did you make?
All right, thank you, Mr. Parsons. The reason we do that right off the bat is read the whole problem. Is just to get a general sense of the problem again. What is the problem talking about? What does it mean? Here, we know we're selling hot dogs and sodas at a concession stand. We're trying to make money and see how much money we made. So that's the reason you did that first step. So first step, done. Second step, reread and identify. What I am trying to figure out, what is the problem or what are the problems? So what are we looking for?
Okay, so what are we looking for? Okay, well, if you read it, we need to know, okay, how much profit to make, right? Because also has a question mark, right? How much profit, okay, did you make? How much did it cost for the hot dogs and the sodas? Because those have the question marks. But there's one key thing that doesn't have a question mark. And oftentimes word problems ask questions without actually putting a question mark there, and you have to determine it. Okay? What are we talking about in this question?
Well, we look back into the main body of the problem, and it says you must report the number of hot dogs and sold and the number of sodas sold to the school. So you got to report back to the school what you sold. So that is another key piece of information is number of hot dogs sold and number of sodas sold. So it's another key part of what we're looking for in this problem that doesn't have a question mark near it.
And that is actually what the question is asking you, is how much you sold of both hot dogs and sodas.
And you'll need those to find out the cost and the profit later on.
So we've identified, okay? Now, identify any unknown words or phrases. What do we know, okay?
Right. If we look at this problem, there's not a lot in here that are difficult words.
Maybe a concession stand, okay? Maybe a concession stand, okay? And maybe you don't know what profit
means. That's
okay, that's another one. I mean, you can ask your friends what the heck are they talking about for a concession stand. Generally, people will be able to answer that.
Yeah, and you can check with your teacher, check with a peer, maybe even look it up. But we don't want you going through the word problem not understanding what something is saying in the problem and get bogged down and confused about the problem because there's a word you don't understand. So if you didn't understand concession stand, that's a place where they sell food. You know, they sell food to raise money. And the profit is how much money you're making after costs. So it's the amount of money you bring in minus the cost of the goods that you sold. Which is in this case hot dogs and sodas. So it's how much profit or money that you made at the end of that you can put towards whatever fundraisers you're doing or whatever. Towards prom in this case.
Prom in this case. Okay, so now we've done that. So now we're going to identify the important information and we're going to remove the useless information. Okay? So you're running a concession stand at a basketball game to raise funds for prom. Do I care about that?
Don't really care very much for that, Mr. Parsons. You don't care why you're raising the money for the prom.
Okay.
Let's see.
You are selling hot dogs and sodas. Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of important. That's kind of important. Let's keep that.
Selling hot dogs and sodas. Circle that. Okay. Yeah. You sell each hot dog for $1.50.
Yeah, that's important.
Okay, and each soda for 50 cents.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, that's important. Definitely. At the end of the night, you brought in a total of $78.
We don't care that it's at the end of the night necessarily, but we do care that you brought in a total of that.
Total of $78.50. You sold a total of 87 hot dogs and sodas combined.
Yeah, that's important.
That's important. Okay? And you must report the number of hot dogs and the number of sodas sold to the school. Okay, that's important.
So we got rid of a little bit of stuff.
Okay? Each hot dog costs the concession stand. Do I care about the concession stand? No. Each hot dog costs 50 cents. Okay? So I think we've crossed out all the useless information. Okay?
So check right over that.
Now we're going to reread the reduced math problem.
This is just rereading it in its simpler form. So let's see. You're selling hot dogs and sodas. You sell each hot dog for $1.50 and each soda for 50 cents. Brought in a total of $78.50. You sold a total of 87 hot dogs and sodas combined. You must report the number of hot dogs sold and the number of sodas sold to the school. Again, back to the questions. If each hot dog costs 50 cents and each soda costs 10 cents, how much did it cost for these hot dogs and sodas, and how much profit did you make?
Okay.
So that's just the simpler, reduced form of the problem.
Boom. Now we're going to classify the type of problem and identify the procedures that we're going to solve it. Okay. So there are two unknowns here, right? So that's the biggest thing. Okay, we want to classify our variables. Our two unknowns here are the hot dogs sold and the soda sold. Okay, and we got to find both of them. Okay, so when we have to find both variables, okay, we need two equations. Okay, if we need two equations, okay, then it is a systems problem. Okay. All right. So every time we're looking for two variables, it's a systems problem. Okay. So once we identify the variables, okay, and set up two equations, then it's solving systems. So solving systems, you can use substitution, you can use elimination, okay? Okay, I mean, you can graph it if you want. These are the most accurate ones, okay?
Let's see. So again, our two variables are number of hot dogs and number of sodas. You also start to think about at this point, what are the types of information we're given in the problem? We're given some information about the money, about the costs, as far as the total amount we brought in, as far as how much we sell them for. So a lot of money information in the problem. And there's also information about how many hot dogs you sold and hot dogs and sodas. And also that's what you're looking for. So there's kind of, it almost sets itself up that there's two kinds of types of information that you can use to set up our equation. One that's a money information and one that's like a numbers information.
So now once we find the number of hot dogs and sodas, okay, for our procedure piece, okay, now we got to figure out, okay, if I sold so many hot dogs, okay, those hot dogs sold 50 cents each, and the sodas cost 10 cents each. So I'm going to take that and find the cost of each one of those items. Once I find the cost of each one of those items, then I take it away from the total money from each category to find my total profit, okay? So the first big step is to find out the number, and then to find the cost, and then to find the profit.
So that kind of information there, that's kind of going through classifying the problem. We pulled out the variables and identified the sorts of equations that we're going to need. So really this step kind of starts to blend into the next step, which is to solve the problem. So this is where we can start setting up the actual equations and doing the math part of the problem, which is solving it.
Okay. So now we're going to solve the problem for you. Okay. So we're going to just ask these questions again. Again, you've had these questions. We went through them. So what is the problem asking? Okay. It's asking three things, right? Number of hot dogs and sodas, cost, and profit. Okay? So those are the key things.
What does it mean to find the profit? Again, this is something you might ask a friend or a peer if you don't understand, but profit is basically the money you brought in, the money you made, minus the money that it cost you to purchase them hot dogs and sodas. So money made minus the cost.
Okay. What will be needed to solve this type of problem? Okay, an equation, more than one, or a formula. Okay, we're going to need two equations.
Yeah, we know we need two equations because we need a money equation and a numbers equation. You might even think about you need other equations as far as finding the profit later on, but at least two equations you need.
How many unknowns are there?
We know there's two.
What are the unknowns?
Number of hot dogs and number of sodas. And last question is, what process would you use to solve this problem? Again, we know it's a systems of equations, so you would find the variables. First, you would find your variables. Next, you would set up your equations.
Solve the system however you want. Okay. Then once you have the number, okay, find the cost for each. Find how much money each one made, and then subtract the cost from how much money you made to find the profit. Okay, and we just discussed that previously. Okay, so now we're just going to walk through the steps on how to do that. Okay, so the first thing we have, we need a money equation and a total equation. Okay, so we use this to keep our units together. Oftentimes students mix this up. Okay.
And real quick, I'm just going to write over here, X we're going to count as number of hot dogs, and Y as number of sodas.
And we want to keep track of that for answering the question later. Okay, so if you're reading the question, okay, we know that we made $1.50 for every hot dog, so that's 150 X, and it made 50 cents for every soda, so plus 0.5 Y, and we know that we made $78.50 total. Okay, we also know that we made we sold a total of 87 hot dogs and sodas combined. Well, every time you hear the word combined, means that we're adding X and Y, and that's going to add up to 87. So now I have my two equations, and now I'm going to solve the system. I personally like elimination. You might not. It's however you want to do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to eliminate one of these variables. Okay, and I'm just going to multiply this equation by negative 0.5. Okay, so now I'm going to have two new equations. Okay, well, this one didn't change. This one changed to negative 0.5 x plus negative 0.5 y equals negative 43.5. Okay, now I add these two equations together. Elimination cancels out these y's. So I'm left with 1x equals 35. Okay, so now I know that x equals 35. So I take that 35 and I plug it back in and I solve. Really, I would just plug it back into here. So 35 plus y equals 87. I subtract. Y is going to end up being 52. Okay? So that tells me that I sold 35 hot dogs and 52 sodas. Okay? That's how much I sold. Well, so I just reported to the school how many I sold. Now I got to figure out, okay, how much did each one cost and how much profit did I make? Well, if it costs, okay, so 35 hot dogs and 52 sodas. Okay? So, I know that I make $1.50 for each one, right? If I make and I make 50 cents here. So if I make $1.50 for each hot dog, that means for the hot dogs, 35 times 1.5 is $52.50. Okay? I made 50 cents for every soda. So that means I made $26 on sodas. Okay? But there's also the cost. Okay? And it costs 50 cents for every soda. So if it costs 50 cents for every hot dog, that means it cost me $17.50 for the hot dogs that I sold, and it cost me 10 cents for every soda, so that's $5.20 that cost me. I subtract these, and I find my total profit for hot dogs. The profit for hot dogs is $35. The profit for soda is $20.80. So my total profit is $55.80. Okay, so that is how much profit I made. Okay, the total cost for everything was $22.70, which adds up to my total $87. Okay, so that's the example of a systems problem we're using the close reading protocol.
All right, thank you guys so much. Hope it was helpful, and if you have any other questions, see one of your teachers. Thank you.